Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name is Nick Bryant, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Nick Robertson from HF Pest and Bird Control.
Good afternoon, Nick.
How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
I said that, but then I thought, well, things are going to change. We're going to explain. You're going to tell us a bit about that along the way, because it might not be HF Pest Control Birds soon.
No, it will in a minute, but yeah, I don't know when the name change is going to happen.
Okay, right. But just to rewind a little bit, I interviewed your son, Carl, who works in the business, about 3 years ago, and he's been trying to get you to come on the podcast for the last 2 years. And finally you're here, so it's really good to have you on the podcast. Thanks for coming in.
That's right.
And when he joined you, he was going to go to university and be a PE teacher or an accountant or something, wasn't he? But your brother talked him out of it, and he came to join the business. Is that right?
He did. So basically, on the Friday, he talked to my brother about going to university, and my brother said I couldn't understand that because my brother's not a university man.
Yeah.
And then on the Saturday he said, well, I'll come into the business as a bookkeeper. That never worked.
No.
And I said to him, well, if you come in, you've got to start at the ground. So I really threw him in it.
Yeah.
As an 18-year-old, he was in charge of people, which he found very difficult.
That's the challenge.
It was very difficult. So he's earned his dues, and he's got to where he's got to by his own merit.
Yeah.
And there we are today.
There we are. So I think when I said earlier, I may have mumbled my words, but HF Pest and Bird Control, basically pest control using birds of prey and that sort of thing. Just explain a bit about the business, how it works.
So there's two types of the business. There's the obviously pest control, the rats, the mice, the bed bugs, things like that. But the main thing we're known for is controlling pest species of birds using predator species.
Right.
So it's a way of bullying birds out of an area.
Right.
So there's no killing involved.
Yeah.
The easiest way we explain it is foxes and chickens. So if you keep chickens and a fox sniffs around your chickens, the chickens stop laying eggs, self-preservation.
Yeah, right.
So we fly the foxes, which is a predator bird, and the chickens are the seagulls and pigeons.
Right.
So they move out from an area.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, where do they go? And we go, well, then we go to next door and we knock on their door and say, you've got a problem. And it cascades like that.
Yeah. So they just sort of scare them away, really.
Exactly.
Don't they?
You bully them out of an area. It's not a good place to give birth. So the falconry aspect disrupts the nesting cycle of pigeons and seagulls.
Right, okay. Yeah, no, that explains it. And so, as I said, Carl joined you 2007-ish, but you've been working in pest control before then for other businesses.
Yeah, so I literally left the army, and when I leave the army, I was an army dog and a sniper. So there's not a lot of calls for shooting people and chasing people down with dogs in civilian life. No. So I bummed about a bit. I went in gyms. I was in the fire brigade for 5 years, which I thought was a good move, but it wasn't. Coming out of uniform, straight into uniform.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't work for me.
Right.
So then I started running gyms, and I got to running 2 gyms in London.
Okay.
And then I was really bored. I made a list of things I was good at. So I loved animals, and it came down to pest control.
Yeah.
So I wrote to 18 different companies, and I got 2 replies. So I went to the first interview, and it was a place called National Britannia, which was in Catford in London.
Yeah.
And this is the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
We had the interview, and there was 3 people interviewing me.
Yeah.
And they asked the age-old question, where can you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, well, I can see myself in a year having his job.
Did you?
And he went, well, he's the field service manager of London. I said, yeah, I'll have that job in a year.
Yeah.
8 months down the line, without blowing my own trumpet, I was field service manager of Kent, Sussex and Surrey.
Nice.
So I had a natural niche for pest control.
Yeah.
I'm working hard, which is...
So when did it come to the point where you decided to go on your own? And how did that work?
So I saw a demonstration of someone down in Dover.
Yeah.
God, this is going back a long time. In about 97. And he flew a male Harris hawk on a landfill site. And there was lots of different pest controllers there, and they were showing you how effective it was. Well, it wasn't very effective because the seagulls smacked this little male Harris hawk out of the sky, and it pretended to be dead on the floor.
Okay.
Because you can't fly a male against seagulls.
Right.
So I sort of sat there back and I thought, I've always been interested in falconry.
Yeah.
And at that time, I wasn't allowed to play rugby because I broke my neck, so I couldn't go back to rugby.
Oh my God.
So I was an active falconer anyway. I'd already had a falconer for 5-6 years before that, flying birds for hunting purposes.
Yeah.
So I approached another bird of prey centre.
Okay.
And I said, look, I've got Mr. and it was Ecolab at the time. Mr. Ecolab was coming over from America, like the managing director of Ecolab was coming over.
Right. Yeah.
And I was going to give him this sales pitch that we could offer the services of flying birds of prey
Okay.
as a service. Well, he came over, and the centre I went to, unfortunately, messed up. When we appeared there, they said, "Oh, the manager's not here. We don't know what's going on."
All right.
So he literally walked off and got back in his car.
Okay.
And I said, "Well, no, give me a week, and I can sort this out." So I thought, "Well, I'll do it myself." So that's what I did. I started doing it myself. So I had to. This sounds a bit dodgy. I had to invent a company while I was still field service manager.
Yeah.
And I was giving work to this company, although it was me.
Yeah.
And when my boss wanted to meet me, my mate, who was a plumber at the time, used to be me in the meetings.
Right.
And then it got so much work was coming in, I had to come clean to my boss and just say, "Look, this is me."
Yeah. Right.
After the little hissy fit to start off with, I said, "Right, it's fine." I still got that relationship, 30 years of working with Ecolab. I built their bird control department from scratch.
Yeah.
And now we're the major sort of in the industry.
So you just thought it's one of those ones where I had this conversation on the podcast the other day when an opportunity comes, you don't know how you're going to do it, but just do it anyway and work it out later.
Yeah, that's a brilliant sentence. Yeah. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew there was a market for it. And at that time when I was doing it, there was only about 3 other companies that actually offered the services.
Yeah.
But they used to put a falconer on site all day. So where we are now, you'd pay like £1,000 to put someone here all day. So it wasn't cost effective. So I said, we can do exactly the same by charging hourly visits, make it a lot cheaper, and spread the visits over 2 or 3 days that way.
And still get the same result.
And still get the same results. So I started doing visits, which is what we do now.
That's worked out better, hasn't it? Now, you've also got something called Willow's Birds of Prey Centre, where all the birds live, if you like, and you do visits there and excursions. And
so we've got 2 centres now. We've got Willow's Bird of Prey Knockout, and we've got Willow's Bird of Prey Epsom. So Epsom is in like a children's adventure park. They offer exactly the same experiences, daily demonstrations and things like that. The Knockout one, again, it fell into our lap because we were at a previous place that didn't work out. We looked around for places to go, and there were lots of places that wanted us. And we saw this little area with a 22-acre woodland. And I said to Carl, we'll build a bird there. And it came at a time where I had a lot of problems with my neighbours with my birds. So again, it was another opportunity that created out of a problem. And that's where we are now.
And you took it.
Tell
us the news that you've got as well about.
We've been approached a lot of times, but we're actually selling the HF Pest Control. So we've had to separate the 2 companies now. Whereas we're all under one banner, HF Pest Control is now a separate company that is being bought by a Switzerland consortium, and Willow's Bird of Prey is going to remain with us.
You must be really proud selling the business because you've done. It was a nice thing that you've been offered, and you're going to take it. You've worked really hard for it. But how does it feel? Because how long has that business been going?
It's about 27, 28 years now. And the main thing is, when I started the business, I wanted to give my children a better life than what I've had. And I know all fathers say that, but I did. I wanted to give them not everything they wanted, but I wanted to give them something that they could be proud of. Cole coming into the business as a father, you couldn't be more prouder because he's thrown himself into that business. I mean, he literally is the business. What we say is what goes in his head, we couldn't deal with. And there's a family, if Cole's not on his phone, we're not earning money.
Right.
So we've accepted that. Most families will put your phone down.
Yes, you let him get on with it.
We let Cole get on with it because he's always on his phone. But to actually come to the point where they're going to be a lot better off than I am because of the business, and we can put investments in more things incoming in. I've got 3 children. I've got one, Cole, Jodie, who runs the Epsom branch, and then I've got a plastic bag child that's floating around New Zealand at the moment and doesn't know exactly what she wants to do.
I wonder what you meant then, a plastic bag.
So she's like Katy Perry. She's floating through New Zealand. She's finding herself.
Does she know about this?
I tell her all the time. She's a plastic bag. But she's studying to be a yoga teacher, and when she comes back, I'm going to set her up in a business as a yoga studio, health benefits thing. So I just don't know when she's coming back or where she's going to settle in England.
Yeah, well, worry about that when she
Yeah,
comes back.
exactly, yeah.
yeah. Now, I didn't say I was going to ask you, but now you run ultra marathons as well, didn't you? Did you do one for the desert recently?
Yeah, 2 years ago I did one. It's called Race to the Wreck, which is 303 kilometres across the Namibian desert.
Yeah, right. How long did that?
It's 5 days. So basically, it's
multi-stage, or do you sleep?
Yeah. So it's 5 marathons in 5 days across the desert.
Well, have you always done that sort of thing? Did you give yourself a goal, or what's that about?
It's really strange because when you go out to the desert, they say introduce yourself and why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And then you've got people saying, oh, my name's Nick and I'm doing this because I've always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And as it come to me, I said, I'm going to really bring the tone down now. Because me and a friend called Mark Plant, who used to work for Tunbridge School, we talked about running across the desert. Unfortunately, Mark lost his life due to cancer 2 years previous to that.
Okay.
But I said, I'm going to do it because I know he would have done it.
Yeah.
And we were very competitive.
Right.
So I carried a picture of him all with me on training, and it kept getting put back because we had COVID.
Okay.
So it was cancelled. One time it was cancelled a week before I was supposed to go.
Oh my God.
So it was 3 years in the making, and I carried him in training all the time.
Yeah.
And I said, this is what I've done.
Yeah.
I've wanted to run across the desert because it's the ultimate test. I mean, you're running in 40 odd degree heat, and there's some points where the actual support team can't get to you. You are literally on your own, or whoever you team up with.
Yeah.
And I told the organisers that I was taking Mark with me. Told his wife I was taking him with me. And at the finishing line, I carried him across. I get emotional because he's quite emotional.
Course, yeah.
So I carried him across the finish line, and they gave me a medal for him, which I gave to his wife.
So you had 2 medals, one for you, one for him.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
And then people will say, "Would you do it again?" No, no, definitely not. I mean, if anyone who's out there wants to do it, it is an amazing thing.
Yeah,
it is, but it is tough.
I bet you when you've finished, you probably can feel like you can achieve anything when you've achieved that. Is that right?
I've got the attitude I can anyway. I can achieve anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm very determined. If I've got to do something, I'm very determined I'll do it. So like when people say, "Oh, I'm going to go to the gym later," if I tell myself I'm going to the gym,
you have to go.
I'm going to the gym because I feel like I let myself down.
Yeah.
And that's what I put into business. That's how I've pushed so hard.
Yeah.
And
where'd you get that? Was your father like that, or where does that come from? Do you think?
So we're going back to the father.
Yes.
My father was not a very nice man.
Okay. All right.
And we didn't really get on. I left home when I was 14 when stayed with my brother.
Right.
I joined the army at a very early age to get away from him.
Right.
He was a typical old father. He was never proud of anything.
Okay.
He never come and watched me play anything. And so I always wanted to prove him wrong. So although I didn't get on with him, yes, it does come.
It drove you.
Yeah, it drove me to prove that I can do better than what he did.
Yeah.
And then that has all pushed me all the way through.
Yeah, that's intriguing to see where it's come from.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Obviously inside you, that subconscious just made you that way from his lack of love, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
He had no emotion in him, none at all. So when I left to join the army, he didn't even know I was joining.
Oh, right.
My mum signed the form for me, and he said, "Oh, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. You won't make it." And I thought, "Yeah, right.
I'll show you, mate."
And I did everything I could. I even went to Hong Kong for 3 years to get away from him.
Did you?
Yeah. And then when I came out of the army, I said, "He said, what are you going to do now?" I said, "I'm going to go to the farm." He goes, "Yeah, you won't make that." So I did. And the only thing is, he actually was very supportive when I started the business, which is really weird.
Yeah, right.
It was very weird.
Yeah, maybe you've proven it to him or something. Maybe you thought by that point you were proved your worth to him.
I don't know. He was just a strange man.
Yeah, well, father and son relationships are always different. Some are good, some are bad, but they're always there. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's just go back to Willows and Birds of Prey Centre, because I've been there and had a walk round, the one in Knockholt.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of animals. It's not just birds of prey. There's other animals, isn't there? There's pigs and there's...
Yeah, so we're an attraction. We class ourselves as we're a bird of prey centre at an attraction. We're not a bird of prey centre alone. Because Monday to Friday, our clientele is under 5s.
Is it? Right.
So you could fly a paper aeroplane and it wouldn't make any difference.
Okay.
Because the mums just want the kids to burn off energy, and we're completely safe, 22 acres fenced in, so they can't get lost.
Yeah.
So we've got alpacas, we've got pigs, we've got goats, we've got chickens, we've got Tweety birds, as we call them, so like finches and things.
Right.
We did have rabbits. We haven't got any rabbits anymore. We've got ferrets, and we do the world famous ferret racing in half terms.
Okay. Well,
which is sometimes more supported than the actual bird of prey show.
Is it?
The ferret racing is a little bit of fun that we do, and we say things like, oh, this is going to be the last time this is going to be on because Sky are going to use pay-per-view on this next one. So yeah, we try and put on an entertainment side for a children's attraction.
Okay. So where does that's the business that you got, you're still going to be working in HF Pest and Controls. You mentioned there's probably a buyout thing.
Yeah.
But with Willows, where will you take that? You mentioned you've got another in Epsom, or where?
Right, so we want to do something that's completely different in England. We want to own multiple bird of prey centres.
Right.
So we are trying to buy, in fact we are buying, the in the falconry world in Britain there's no recognised qualification, but there is a qualification but hasn't been pushed.
Right.
So we're going to buy that, and we want to improve the standards in falconry in Britain.
Okay.
So we want multiple centres.
Yeah.
So if you want training, you can go to north, south,
Right.
east, west. So we've got opportunity, one in Scotland that's come arise that me and Cole are going to look at. We want one in the Midlands, we want one in the southwest, and we want one in the east. So we want 5 in total.
To train other people to use the birds as birds of prey for pest control, or
just for
everything?
For everything.
Yeah,
I mean, when I started in falconry, there was 5,000 falconers in Britain.
Right.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
There's now 30 to 35,000 falconers in
Is
Britain.
there? Right. Okay.
But out of that 30,000, there's probably only about 7,000 to 8,000 that still fly their birds regularly.
Right.
Because anyone can own a bird of prey.
Right.
That's the problem in this country. In other countries like America, it's a 2-year apprenticeship followed by 6 months of assessments before you even buy a bird. In this country, you can get your phone out and you can buy anything from a kestrel to a golden eagle, and if the breeder's not reputable, he will sell you that.
And those people haven't got a clue on how to look after them.
We get a lot of birds given to us from people who think it's a good idea, and they're not pets. They don't understand affection. If you stroke them, I mean, if you look at my hands now, they just grab you. They don't understand why you're stroking them. So there's no emotion in with a bird of prey.
Yeah.
You will get a bond, but the actual bond is more to do with food.
Okay.
You can get a bond with a bird of prey, but it's food related.
Yeah.
So we want to bring up the standards in birds of prey. Because there is a standard, it's just not been pushed.
Right. Okay.
So we want to be at the forefront of that.
That's a good idea. Yeah, no one else is doing that.
No one else is doing it.
Yeah,
and no one else has got multiple centres, which is what we're aiming for.
Excellent. Cool. Well, so for anyone to get in touch with you, really, for people that want to maybe come and visit the centre, and anyone who's interested in learning how to have a bird of prey, is that what you're looking for as a business?
Basically. So there is a lot of professionals now. There is a lot of professional bird of prey because you've got the demonstration market. That is going to get hampered because the government are changing the guidelines to, like when you go to country fairs, you have these stalls.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be non-existent in a couple of years.
Right.
Because of the welfare issue of birds sitting there, all the people gawking at them.
Yeah.
It's not...
That's not right.
It's not right for that period of time. Then you've got the poke and stroke brigade, as we call them. They're the ones who stand outside Asda shaking a box with a bird on their arm.
Yeah.
Again, it's not good welfare for the bird. So we're interested in them too. We're also interested, if you just want to have a bird, a lot of people buy barn owls and tawny owls as a pet.
Yeah.
So we still want them educated because we still want the welfare of the bird coming first.
Okay.
Then you've got the professionals, i.e. the bird controllers and the people that do it for a living.
Yeah.
We want them to be trained and to a standard, that everyone's at the same standard.
Yeah.
And then you've got the ones who own centres, you know, because again, there are a lot of people out there who own centres that have been trained by a person. And what we say, just because you've been doing it 30 years doesn't mean to say you've been doing it right 30 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
It just means you've been doing it your way that works.
Yeah.
And there is no hard and fast way, but there is a way that is governed by the Welfare Act and the Animal Act that should be done.
Okay, yeah, that they don't know about. What do you like about it the most? What's the best bit of it for you? What do you love about these birds? Or
I still like the fact that this bird comes back to my arm.
Yeah, right.
So I've got a golden eagle called Rex.
Okay.
At the centre, and he weighs about 8 pounds.
Wow.
And seeing him flying across the field and landing on my arm,
because he knows you and trusts you.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm also, I still am an active falconer, so I do it hunting. My passion at the moment is racing.
Right. Okay.
It's huge.
Other birds are racing against each other.
Yeah.
That's me flapping.
Yeah. So me and Carl are part of the board in England. So there's the British Falcon Racing Association. It's just been formed this year.
Yeah.
I'm literally just about to go out to Dubai as a board member, paid by them, I might add.
Of course.
To watch the UAE races across the board. Yeah. would have won this year, but my son, and I hope he's listening to this, stacked the road crow, because there's two types of races. There's a flat race, which is 400 metres, which me and you, so I stand one end of 400 metres, you stand the other, right. It's the fastest. We have got the junior British champion, we won that last year. And then there's the hump race, which is a molt control crow, and that's the one that's the more prestige. It's all to do with chasing the crow in a certain time, getting to a certain level in a certain time, and landing in the box at certain times. It's very competitive in this country.
And you're going out to Dubai to watch that and to judge that.
So I spend a lot of time in the Middle East anyway, because my wife is very understanding. We have 2 holidays a year. One holiday, which is mine, which is Middle East falconry based, or wherever I go, because I spend a lot of time going around the world speaking to other falconers. And then we have one holiday for her, which we just had one in Egypt, where we just sit and
do nothing.
Which
you hate.
It's very hard for me. Very hard.
Nick, it sounds like you have a great life and you love what you do.
I do love what I do. I'm very. People say if you cut me in half, I'm like a stick of rock. So instead of saying brightening me, it's feathers.
It's feathers.
Feathers come out.
I think I could talk to you for a long time, but we're going to have to wrap it up there.
No problems.
If anyone wants any information about all that stuff that Nick said, then they can get in touch with you via the Willows BOP. It's BOP, the Birds of Prey website, isn't it?
That's it.
And still HF Pest and Bird Control, because they're still having a big part of that.
It still will be,
So any pest control troubles you have, then get in touch with Nick.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks for coming back in, Nick, coming in, because we've been trying to get you here for 2 years. And,
no problems.
And we'll put that out. So thanks again, and we'll see you all for another podcast soon.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.